It's wonderful to meet the woman behind the stories. Like I said, one of the first stories I heard was about someone that had organized the town meeting in Bombala.
I just couldn't believe him at that meeting. It was, and you could actually see him shaking because some of the fellas got up and they were really going off about it. In fact, I had to pull them in line to tell one of them to sit down and shut up. But they just went right off at the mayor. Well, he was shaking. And it was after that public meeting that they started getting security at the meeting. So rise, dear Monaro, call them out, demand the truth, dispel the doubt, for governments must serve the land, not crush its people with sleight of hand.
Good afternoon, Alison. It's a real honor and pleasure to be with you this afternoon.
It's an honor to see you too, Chris.
Oh, thank you. Can you start by telling us a little bit about yourself and your connection to the Bombala community?
Well, I moved here into town itself in about 2002. Prior to that, we lived out in the bush. My husband and I, but he's since passed. Yeah, I got involved in the water treatment plant issue when it was just so bad you couldn't drink it, you couldn't wash your clothes in it or bath in it. It was atrocious. And I called a public meeting, and it was the biggest public meeting that's ever been in Bombala. I couldn't believe it. We had to go and get more chairs. But the upshot of it was that John Barilaro, who was MP at that time, he promised us $15 million to do our water supply and delegates. Well, 7 years along the track, we finally look like we're going to get it, get it turned on. It took them that long to do the paperwork. I don't know why. One person blamed another person, and that person blamed the other person. It just kept going in circles. But yes, and then this fluoridation came in, and I thought, well, why are we having it? We haven't had it for 8 years. People in town thought their water supply was fluoridated, but it wasn't. 8 years ago, it broke down, the plant that puts the fluoride into the water, and council notified the health department and it was turned off. So now we've got the new plant, which is capable of putting the fluoride in. But I think the people should have the right to say whether we want it or not. Council, however, does not agree. Well, some of the councillors don't agree.
Could you be a little bit more specific as to which councillors do not agree?
Chris Hanna, Narelle Davis, Linda Summers, Tanya Higgins,
Trisha?
Yeah, Trisha Hopkins.
And I believe you've forgotten one of the most famous mayors in Bombala.
Yes, John Rooney. But John would dispute anything that I said or anyone else says because he's right. We're all wrong. But yes, they're against us having a vote on it, which is not very democratic when you think of it, because we should have a say of what we are ingesting. Not everyone agrees with me that fluoride's bad for you. If they had a vote and the majority of people wanted it, I'd go along with it. I just wouldn't drink the water.
Why is clean water such an important issue for you personally?
Well, if you don't have clean water and you're putting impurities into your body, which I shouldn't speak about because I smoke, but apart from that, it reacts on your health. If you're drinking water with chlorine in it, fluoride in it, and all the other rubbish they put in it, what's it doing to our bodies? There's studies that say it doesn't do any harm to you, but there is more than enough studies to say that fluoride does harm you. And that could be one of the reasons we've got so much dementia in Australia and so much so many children that are special needs.
I'd like to get into a lot more of that a bit
Yeah.
further on, but just to start with, a few years ago, you played a key role in mobilizing the community to push for a new water plant. Can you take us back to that time and describe how it all started?
Well, we were living in town at that time, and the water was so bad you couldn't even turn your tap on. The smell was revolting. The water was dirty. People were washing their clothes, especially sheets and whites, and they'd come out brown marks all over them. Plus the fact whatever was in the water caused an allergy on me. And it wasn't just me, it was a lot of other people. And we itched the whole time. And I thought, nah, this has gone on long enough. I'm going to have a go at this. So I just called the meeting.
How did you go about organizing the community and raising awareness?
Well, I put a big post on Facebook, and then I got everyone to share it because, as I said on my post, I'm not friends on Facebook with everybody. So share it. And then we put notices all around town and around Delegate in every shop.
And that was the biggest meeting.
That was the biggest public meeting we've ever had.
Wow. And what was the response from council when you first started voicing your concerns then?
Well, when everyone would ring up and complain, they'd say, oh, yes, we'll look into it. And they'd send the fellow down and he'd do the water test. Oh, no, everything's right. Well, it wasn't. The plant wasn't just old, it was broken.
Could you just confirm what you just said again? That the officials from council said that everything was all right?
Yeah, they'd say, oh, there's nothing we can do about it. It's right. We'll flush the pipes. That didn't do anything and only stirred up more sediment.
And at that meeting, how many people attended and what was the atmosphere like?
Well, there was over 300 just by looking. I think nearly everyone in town came, and from Delegate. The atmosphere was pretty vitriolic. People were very cranky, and I really don't blame them. Mr. Rooney would get up and speak, and quite a few people got up and were rather angry with him, put it that way. He just didn't get what we were talking about.
Do you believe that there was a disconnect between what he wanted and what the community wanted?
I think there was a disconnect that he didn't care. He never cared what happened to us. It's the same with everything.
And do you feel that the council eventually listened because of that community pressure?
Oh, yeah. They listened all right. It went national. It was on Current Affair. We were on in every newspaper. Canberra did a big write-up on it. So they thought they'd better do the right thing. And then when John Barilaro stated at that meeting he would give us 15 million, well, we got it.
And how has the community changed since then in terms of activism and standing up for local issues?
Sometimes they will and sometimes they won't. It depends, I think, what it's about.
Did you listen to the council meeting yesterday?
Oh, yes.
And what were your thoughts regarding the vote not to conduct a community survey into the fluoridation of water?
I thought, to be honest, to put it bluntly, it stank. It should not have happened. They should have had a vote or a survey. How hard is it for them to call a meeting and have a vote taken at the door? That's not hard. And I don't think... Well, the council, the gentleman from the council, the working manager guy, said, oh, yes, it'll go through to the health department and there's all these protocols they've got to follow. And they will warn us when it's going to come in. And we can, if anyone objects, they can put in then. That's not the right way to do it. Because people say, oh, well, it's done now, what can we do? And I'm not saying that everyone in town doesn't want fluoridation. A lot of people do. They can use fluoride toothpaste. and it even tells you on a toothpaste tube, do not swallow. But no, it's all right for us to drink it in our water, and it stays in your body.
There was, in particular, a couple of very vocal councillors that were pro fluoridation that said that conducting a survey would be a waste of time and money.
Yeah.
Because it's already established scientific fact that fluoridation in the water is good for you.
Yeah, well, they can say what they like. It's also a scientific fact that a lot of scientists are saying it's not good for you. I mean, why would 75% of Europe not use it? Why is America banning it? Because it's good for them? No. It's the same as, well, COVID shots were good for you, but they didn't work either, did they? So it's just one of those things. People get it in their head, mainly bureaucrats, get it into their thick skulls that something's going to work, and you can't tell them any different. I think it's the benefits of them going to university, and they all get brainwashed.
Were there any councillors that stood out in particular to you yesterday?
Well,
in a good way.
Well, I think Ruben definitely did. Bob Stewart did, and Andrew. But yeah, they were the three main ones, I think.
Yep. And what was good about their statements in particular?
Well, they were trying to take into account the people's views and the right we have to vote on whether we want to ingest it or not. You shouldn't be forced to take a medication. It's against the Nuremberg Code.
And what are your thoughts on the fact that all three former mayors, Rooney, Davis, and Hannah, all voted against the community survey?
Well, I don't know. Maybe they've got shares in the fluoride factory. I don't know. Though I did think that Narelle Davis was very rude when Tom was speaking, who I don't know, but I've just watched him on the thing, on the video. When he was speaking, she had the audacity to ask what qualifications he had. Well, I'd ask her what qualifications she's got. But yeah, I thought she was very rude. Chris Hanna goes along with whatever Narelle says. And Linda Summons, well, I haven't quite figured her out yet. As you get older, you can figure people out.
And how do you feel about the council ultimately, voting down the community survey motion?
Well, I think they should be ashamed of themselves. The cost of them voting and all this, it's a load of crap. We live in a democracy, and we should have the right to say what we want, not be ruled over by the little tin gods in their office.
And how do you interpret the reluctance to hold a community consultation on this matter?
Well, I think maybe they're frightened that people say we don't want it. And I can't really understand why, because it's, as I said, it's our right. But I just think sometimes if Andrew Thaler says something, and I'm not totally in love with Andrew, we have differences, but if Andrew proposes something, they will go against it. If some other person had put that motion forward, it might have got through. But I'm not really sure, and I can't state that. But no, I think they ought to be ashamed of themselves.
What message does it send to the community when the councillors just say that the community voice isn't valued, it's not important?
Well, I think they should think about their position, because it will come back and bite them. They're there because we voted for them there. We put them in, we pay them the money, which isn't a great deal, but it's still money to do that job. And they should be there to represent us. This lot aren't. They are definitely not there to represent the people.
Do you think that council is out of touch with public sentiment on this issue?
I think they're definitely out of touch with every issue. To be honest, they, I quite often watch the webcasts of council and I think, what on earth are they doing? They spend more time arguing amongst each other than getting the work done that they were put there to do. If they can't take into consideration the people's wishes, the people who put them there, they don't deserve to be there.
Any changes or additions that you would like to have included in that?
Yes, I really can't be derogatory about the councillors, can I? So I couldn't include that.
You can be.
I think they should sit down. If they're going to rule on something like this, they should sit down and they should read all the things that are said, the good about it, all the bad, and not just take the notice of one institution. What is it? NHMC. They are pro fluoride, so of course they're going to say yes, it's not harmful. But other studies have been done where it proves it is, and it's just.
You've touched on a topic regarding the dosage of it as well. Have there been any cases where maybe the town water supply has been overdosed with fluoride?
Yes, our town was. Before the plant broke down and they couldn't add it anymore, well, they have to take the readings every day and that has to be reported. Well, the water fella was doing it, and 9 times out of 10, it was over because of this fault that they didn't know they had. But when it went through to council, nothing was done.
That sounds incredible, that a potentially toxic chemical may have been overdosing the town of Bombala for quite some time.
Yeah.
And it went unreported.
It was reported to the council. I don't know if it was reported to. Oh, it was eventually reported to the health department. That's correct, and they said cease it. Before that, we'll put it this way: the fellow that reported it wasn't working at the water treatment plant for very long after that. I can assure you.
Wow. So this is more than just fluoridating water for cavities, but it also comes down to a competency issue as well.
Yeah, it wasn't his incompetence. Don't get me wrong. It was the fact the plant was breaking down. Our plant was so old, there was different parts of it. They turned on with a sledgehammer because whatever it was broke on it. And there's photos that show parts that are just broken.
So it's more than just trust in the science, but it's also trust in the bureaucracy to be able to administer this chemical.
Yeah. Fluoride in a powder form, which is what they would be using up here, which they use in everywhere in Snow and Narrow, has it, comes in a powder form. On that packet, there should be a certificate that states what's in that bag of powder. Well, there's arsenic, there's fluoride, and there's another one. I can't think of the name of it. But, yeah, we're drinking arsenic as well.
Wow, that's incredible. Now, would you support a grassroots campaign to push for a survey despite council's decision?
Oh, yeah. I still think we have the right. Everyone has the right.
And what would a fair and transparent consultation process look like to you?
Well, even if, as I said, even if they had a public meeting and took a vote at that meeting, people just filled in the form and that would be fair. I don't expect them to spend a fortune on it, but how much does it cost to call a public meeting? Not much.
And how important is it for the council to actively involve the community in health-related decisions?
It's very important, especially when we should have a say.
Can't you just trust that certain councillors have your best interest at heart?
No, I can't, because the ones that seem to have us at heart get voted down every time.
Can you be more specific?
Well, by 6 councillors against 5. And it happens all the time. I watched it yesterday, and from the time I started watching till I turned it off, not one motion had got passed.
And in your mind, these were good motions?
Some of them were, yeah, and they never got passed because of the proposers of the motions. If certain councillor says it's black, the rest of them will say it's white. Doesn't matter if they're right or wrong. It's just the way they are. So, yeah, it's not real good.
Are there any councillors who you believe genuinely support giving the community a choice in this fluoridation issue?
Yeah, there is. Bob Stewart, Andrew Thaler, Reuben Rose, his name, Luke Williams. There was another one.
Nick Elliott?
Yeah, might have been Nick.
And finally, what would you say to councillors who voted against the survey?
You ought to be ashamed of yourself. We the people, put you there. You're there to do the best for us. If you don't like us having any input, what are you doing there? You should be listening to us. We put you there. Not just getting up on your high horse and saying, what qualifications have you? Linda Summers told someone, I think it was yesterday, that they had no right to say anything. Who's she? It's just weird. I think we've got a very faulty, that's not probably the word, council anyway, that are just, I don't know whether they're there for themselves, either monetarily or because they think it's a society thing to be up in the top of society or whatever, but they're not doing the job they're getting paid for. That's my opinion of them.
Would there be anything else you'd like to add before we close up?
No, that'll do me for today.
Alison, thank you so much for your time. It's been a real honor and pleasure to meet you again.
Thank you.
Demand the truth, dispel the doubt. For governance must serve the land, not crush its people with sleight of hand. The worst of crisis left to fester. No justice found, no old redress here. Shame on the gang who turned their backs. Shame on this council, mired in cracks. So rise, dear, narrow, call the mouse. Demand the truth, dispel the doubt. For governance must serve the land, not crush its people with sleight of hand.